Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, this is Ken Revolution real quick. We're about to look at what I was talking to you about. Um, Susan Okwara, I think her name is, from Citizen TV, is about to kind of give us what's going on with the general of AFRICOM, the commander of AFRICOM, General Michael Langley. They are supposed to have um, a live session pretty soon, which we'll bring to you as soon as it starts. So stay tuned, but like the video, share, subscribe, and do all the good stuff. I will start with some videos that I was talking about Suluhu, that she was Suluhu who gave that that speech about the military being used in Tanzania, or using the military in the coming elections. I'll give you a uh, brief whatever on that. So tune in. Karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to give you what you need. Hold on, let me try to figure it out. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, here it is. Let's see. Karibuni. Hold on. Like the video, please, as you get in. Okay, this is not working. Let me see how this works. Hold on, guys. Mukae mstari wa mbele. I'll probably would edit this later on. Okay, I see why it's not. Okay, I'm about to show you what I mean here. Poleni sana. I'm just waiting on something here. We are waiting on General. Hold on. Like, so disorganized today. Disorganization, but msijali. We will get through this. We'll get through this. I promise you that. We'll get it. So just bear with me. Bear with me. As long as you bear with me, we're okay. Like the video, share, subscribe, and do all the good stuff. We are on course. I'm kind of doing 20 things at a time. But now, to give you the background of what I was talking about, I was telling you guys that Suluhu mentioned that the next election in Tanzania is probably going to have to involve the military, because there are people who are trying to but she said that external forces are trying to influence what's happening in Tanzania. So the military might have to step in to try to, make sure that everything is done, the elections are straight and nothing funny happens. But there's some people who are looking at that as a way of Suluhu trying to rig the election by using the army to guarantee her victory. Soon as she mentioned the possibility of military coming in, 2 days later, we have the head of AFRICOM, who's in Kenya. He's supposed to have an interview right now, just in a few minutes, with Susan, I think, Okwara. What's her name? Okwara. We're about to find out. So I'll be curious to hear what he has to say about what's going on in Africa. So let's just end the questions that they'll ask him regarding Ibrahim Traore. So those are the questions that we would like to hear from Mr. Whatever his name is, the General Michael Langley, who is the head of AFRICOM. So tune in as we continue. Well, crap. Citizen TV. It's supposed to be on Citizen TV, so maybe they are running late. They probably let's see. All right. Hold on. So okay, we'll find it in a few minutes. Meanwhile, let's get back to what we were talking about. Hold on. We shi Mariam acha kuchekesha. Hebu weka like hapo. Tumekuja ku maybe it's starting in an hour. Ndio hiyo basi, ngoja. Hold on. Lakini leo mambo. Wacha niweke nini hiyo kidogo. Mkae mstari wa mbele, hebu wekeni like hapo. Leo okay. My channel is being attacked. Never mind.
Consistencies.
The caretaker of the coffee farm, which is owned by one Jimmy Wajigi, stated that he had not witnessed such an incident.
The Inspector General also questioned how Koimburi's associates knew exactly where to find him, noting that he was driven to the hospital in his own vehicle.
They confirmed that the vehicle used to transport him, registration numbers KCJ 660P, belonged to the Honorable Member of Parliament, George Koimburi, and was driven by one Frida Jerry, who was also the first responder at the alleged crime scene.
Earlier, opposition leaders led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka visited Koimburi at Karen Hospital, strongly rejecting suggestions that the MP staged his own abduction.
When you hear stories like Mheshimiwa abducted himself, you really want to pray for those people because they are evil. You see the tattered clothes and things. He's lucky to be alive.
IG Kaja, please do. You can tell that story to the bands, not to Kenyans. It doesn't make sense. Abductions and all forms of extrajudicial processes must come to an end in this country.
With police findings contradicting the account presented by opposition leaders, new questions emerge about the circumstances of George Koimburi's alleged abduction and just what happened. Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
The chairman of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Finance and Planning has defended the first reading of the Finance Bill 2025 in Parliament, despite the ongoing public hearings. Kuria Kimani, who denies that Parliament is rushing the passage of the bill, says the move is procedural and within the stipulated timelines pursuant to the standing orders of the House. Here's Setolale with that report.
With some Kenyans raising concerns about why the Finance Bill 2025 rushed through its first reading in Parliament on Tuesday, 27th May 2025, while public hearing sessions on the bill are still ongoing, the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Finance and Planning has stepped in to clear the air.
There's nothing unprocedural. There is already a precedence to this resolution made by the House on the 13th of February. And this is essentially supposed to especially fast track, critical bills when the House is on recess. And therefore, this gives the power to the Speaker the power to make such communication. And this was done procedurally through this ruling on Monday, the 12th of May, 2025.
The committee, which is still receiving memoranda from various entities in the finance, manufacturing, legal and trade sectors, among others, has refuted claims that Parliament is rushing the passage of the bill.
There's going to be a lot of engagements, and Parliament is a house of debate. So the first reading should not worry anybody. That is just a procedure of any bill that is committed before the National Assembly.
With majority of entities opposing certain clauses in the bill, including a controversial provision that would allow the KRA Commissioner General automatic access to trade secrets and personal information of taxpayers, the Parliamentary Finance Watchdog has pledged to seriously consider the views of the majority, rejecting claims that the public hearing sessions are merely a formality.
I think we've been very consistent for the bills that you've done, and we have always considered the views of the public. We have been very, very consistent on that.
The report of Finance Bill 2024 entirely guarded the views of the Kenyans, exceptional of the politics that came around it, and it was thwarted not because of anything, but the real report guarded the views of stakeholders and Kenyans at large.
Even as public hearings on both the Virtual Assets Providers Bill and the Finance Bill 2025 gain momentum in Nairobi, members of the public will also have an opportunity to address their concerns when the Departmental Committee on Finance traverses 10 counties. Seth Olale, Citizen TV, Nairobi County.
So we're ready to take our first commercial break here on The Explainer tonight. But just a reminder, two big important conversations that we're having today. First off, why are chiefs of defense forces across 37 African countries meeting here in Nairobi? And why are they meeting U.S. African? We are speaking to the commander of U.S. African, that's General Michael Langley. We're speaking about regional security, the state of Somalia, the state of Sudan, and of course, what's happening in the Sahel region, and everything in between, including, of course, I know you want to know what he has to say about those remarks that he made about the leader of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore. That is a conversation we're having. But first, another one more immediate and, of course, more important is the fact that Homa Bay County is hosting the Madaraka Day celebrations on Sunday, and we are live here from Homa Bay County, as you can see, and we'll be speaking to the Governor Gladys Wanga on the preparations and getting to understand what Homa Bay has done in the last 2.5 years in terms of development to the people. That is a conversation we're getting right into in a short while after this break. Coming up, Governor Gladys Wanga opens up on healthcare gains, youth empowerment, and unlocking the blue economy in the county of Homa Bay.
We were in need of classes at a very fast rate. Partnering with SPS enabled us to have excellent classrooms. We had confidence in them and they delivered.
SAFBuild, a quality product from Safal Building Systems, a subsidiary of MRF.
The Avocado Society of Kenya cordially invites you to the 5th Avocado Fruits and Vegetable Africa 2025 exhibition and Congress. Happening from 27th to 29th May at the Sarit Center, Nairobi, this is your chance to showcase your products, connect with major value chain players, and discover exciting business opportunities locally and internationally. The experience wraps up with an exclusive farm tour on 30th May. Don't miss out. Visit our website or call to register and be part of shaping Africa's fresh produce future.
Smart shopping. Chagua smart, value maradufu, na msafi.
Nivea Black and White Deal, now with 72-hour protection. But what does that mean? 3 cities in 3 days and no fear of sweat. 120 dances with skin as smooth as the moves. Sweat, stain, and skin protection. Nivea Black and White Deal. Skin is for embracing life. Nivea is for skin.
Unauza dining ama unauza fine dining?
Grow biashara yako by using your M-Pesa till to get Fuliza Biashara. Enjoy easy application na instant approval. Ipate kwa M-Pesa Business App ama dial *234#. The more you use your till, the more you grow. M-Pesa.
Explore Kenya, tembea na View Travel. Feel the sand between your toes on Mombasa, Diani, Malindi or Lamu's beaches. Embark on thrilling safaris in Masai Mara, Amboseli, Samburu or Tsavo. Enjoy Mount Kenya views in Nanyuki, the vibe of Eldoret, Kisumu or Nairobi. Marvel at the wildlife of Lake Naivasha, Nakuru or Elementaita. With View Travel, safari yako iko sorted, easy, affordable and unforgettable. Visit viewtravel.com, call or WhatsApp 0703 254 254. View Travel. Dream, explore, discover.
When pain strikes, don't let it kill the good vibe.
Are you okay? No, I've got cramps. Try this Maramoja Advance. It works so fast. You'll be back to spinning in no time.
Get that advanced relief with Maramoja Advance. And get back to the good vibes.
Maramoja Advance. Back to the good vibes.
Si niliwaambia. Halo, niletee kama kawaida.
Kama sio Kavagara, wacha kiumane.
Hii chapati ni tamu sana.
Omera, sere bila Kavagara sio sere.
Dukani usitishe unga, itisha Kavagara.
We were in need of classes at a very fast rate. Traditional building method takes a lot of time. With SBS, we were able to build very good classrooms at a short amount of time. Juja is a very hot area. They explained to us about the cooling solution they have, and true to their word, the classes are very cool. Partnering with SBS enabled us to have excellent classrooms. We had confidence in them and they delivered.
Safbuild, a quality product from Safal Building Systems, a subsidiary of MRM. This week on MTV Sugar Mashariki.
We are doing all we can after the unfortunate incident.
It wasn't an unfortunate incident.
Remember, I ranked her for yes.
Asante one.
Tumayo asante. Takuwa improve nikirudi.
Gangster Hanifa. Kuna prune dawati.
Every Tuesday at 11 p.m. She ran on hope and delivered transformation. From cutting down maternal deaths to powering markets to building futures through education, Governor Gladys Wanga opens up on healthcare gains, youth empowerment, and unlocking the blue economy in the county of Homa Bay. This Tuesday at 9 p.m. on The Explainer, only on Citizen TV.
This week, amazing deals await at Mama Soko with Citizen Duka. Get skuma at 29 from 35 shillings, watermelon at 75 from 85 shillings, and long bananas at only 79 per kg from 89 shillings. It's simple. Dial *487*5#. Select the product you want, make your payment, and pick up your basket at any Quickmart supermarket near you. Fresh and affordable. Citizen Duka, the home of discounts.
Citizen Duka, the home of discounts.
Wasipoomba msamaha, tuwache kusikiza nyimbo zao.
Unaamrisha kama nani?
There's some time you keep quiet.
If you come within shooting range, we will deal with you.
Sasa niko na deputy.
When to govern and when to politic. When to govern and when to campaign.
The public seal is not with the head of public service, it's with the Attorney General.
We can't quite place the position of the government spokesman at this point.
I wonder why he actually chose to say those words. I think they ought to learn and accept some of these criticisms.
And the news gang is here.
News Gang every Thursday at 9 p.m. Don't miss it.
The country will be celebrating Madaraka Day on the 1st of June. That is this coming Sunday. And this year, the celebrations are being held here at Homa Bay County, and that is where we are live from Homa Bay County, speaking with the governor of Homa Bay, Honorable Gladys Wanga, the host of this year's celebrations. Thank you so much for hosting us at Homa Bay County. It's good to be here.
Thank you, Yvonne, and welcome to the Bay of Endless Potential. That is Homa Bay.
That's what it's called. All right, let's start by understanding what it takes to host this. You know, how much has been put in both by the national and the county governments?
I think it was a very, very good decision that the country made to rotate celebrations, because before that, everything around celebrations of national days was focused in Nairobi. And I think this is one of the biggest blessings of devolution, to be able to move celebrations from county to county. And I think Homa Bay is very honored that after 62 years of independence, for the first time, we get this opportunity to host the celebrations. And we are very grateful also to His Excellency, the President, for choosing Homa Bay for this year's celebration. And a lot has gone in, really, because the national government and the county government have to sink in to see how people, the whole country, is going to come and be hosted in Homa Bay. So there's a steering committee and there's a technical committee, both from the national government and the county government, looking at the facilities, one being the arena, the stadium. This celebration is going to be hosted at the Raila Odinga Stadium, which only had one pavilion up to now that had been done by the county government. And now the whole of that stadium was revamped and renovated by the national government. Then there's the issue of infrastructure, roads. You're going to have a whole country in one place, in a small town like Homa Bay. So we are looking at dualing of the main streets in Homa Bay so that you can be able to accommodate the traffic, getting exit routes, bypasses, so that people can sort of move around well. Then there's preparation of the people. The hosting community then has to understand what is it that is coming and how is it that they can prepare themselves to not just observe the events, but also benefit from the events. So a lot of civic education, a lot of public participation, a lot of engagement with the people, a lot of engagement with the institutions, looking at the issues of water circulation, looking at the issue of lighting within the municipality, looking at the roads leading people from outside the municipality. And so that the celebration is not just about the town. It's also about people coming from Suba South, for example, or people coming from Karachuani, or people coming from Kabondo Kasipul. How do they make their way into town? Where is the infrastructure for that? So all of that is what we've been working on for the last. We were supposed to host Mashujaa Day at first, but and Kitui was meant to host the Madaraka Day. But I think looking at the levels of preparedness, it was shifted around so that Kitui hosts the Mashujaa Day and Homa Bay hosts the Madaraka Day. So we've had a bit of a crash program, but we are ready. We are fully ready to host.
How much is it costing Homa Bay to host these celebrations?
From our end, I think it's been a lot of blessing. Apart from just what we've had to put in beautification, which we would have done anyway, or just strengthening of our water systems, which would have done anyway, lighting up, which would have done anyway. A lot of the investment is also from the national government in terms of just getting the preparedness.
Is there a figure for both what national and county is putting in?
I may not have the figure overally because there's a lot of sectors sort of putting in monies, but I can say there is quite a bit of investment, not in the celebration, but in the infrastructure that in fact remains behind after the celebration is gone. Yeah,
because I was going to ask about, since this was decided to take the national celebrations outside of Nairobi, a lot goes into it, like you've said, from roads to water to, infrastructure to support people. I wonder what your take is to this approach to development, and does it leave lasting benefits behind for the people? You're saying a lot of that was something you were going to do anyway, but now you've had to do it in a short span of time. So I would imagine, first of all, you need to gather resources, from different pools. But what's your sense in terms of the benefit that is left behind, say from June 2nd going forward?
I think there are a lot of lasting benefits, Yvonne. And what I can say, for example, is the Kabunde airstrip, for example, which we've had, but we have always wanted to, have it expanded. But now with the celebrations coming in, you sort of have a budget put in to have that expansion done. That airport is going to remain there, or the dualing of the main road passing through Homa Bay from Kodoyo Junction to Rangwena River. That is a benefit that is going to remain here. Take the stadium, for example, and I like the approach that the sports team have taken. They've said, we're not improving our sports infrastructure for the celebration.
We are improving
it. We are improving it to standards that will, be able to host, Chan friendlies, or be able to host beyond the celebration. So they are not celebration infrastructure. If you look, for example, at the stadium, there's work that has been completed, but there's some they still want to do so that we are able to host beyond that. Yvonne, interestingly, like a blessing coming, for the first time, the Mashemeji Derby is being hosted outside of Nairobi. It's coming to Homa Bay. If we hadn't improved our infrastructure to the level that it is currently, by blessing of the celebration, then we wouldn't have been ready perhaps to host the Mashemeji Derby. So it's a blessing in two ways. One, of course, the infrastructure comes because of the celebration. Yeah. And then it remains behind to support the people. And I know the question you're asking is, should you host a celebration to get...
That's what I was going to ask. Because, Madam Governor, we don't have 47 public holidays, so that this goes to all counties and that they're also able to benefit. And so some would ask the question, what happens to the other counties that don't get, selected to host these?
And my point is, I think the plan, according to, our budgets and how it runs over the years, I think every county has a plan of how they're going to get the development going, especially from the national government, because we have our MPs sitting in parliament appropriating money to ensure that money goes to every corner. The advantage of a celebration like this is it only comes a bit faster, perhaps, than it would have come.
And perhaps a little more.
And maybe more as well, And I think... and for the work that the people do, to be good hosts and so on, I think it is good. Mgeni njoo, mwenyeji pia apone.
What would you then say to the other counties who don't get selected? We have what? 5, maybe on average less than 10. There's probably many people in other counties who are saying, and this is looking like an approach to development, and some might call it a microwave approach to development. While it's beneficial, what about the other counties that look on and wonder, when will our turn come? How would you describe this mode of development versus all the other counties that do not get selected?
Yeah, I want to look at it differently. Mm-hmm. I want to look at it as no part of this country being left behind. And when you look at these celebrations and the way they are hosted around the country, they go regionally. For example, we were in Kwale last time, sort of in the coast. We were in Bungoma, sort of in the western part of the country. We're in Homa Bay, sort of in this Nyanza region. We're going to Kitui in the eastern part. We'll go to West Pokot in that part of the country. So I think there is a way these celebrations are creating a sense among the people that every part of this country is Kenya. So if we looked at it that way, I think it sort of brings the country together. The children of Homa Bay feeling like, wow, we have the privilege of witnessing firsthand a celebration of this nature, a celebration of our independence. The children tomorrow of West Pokot, who probably have never had the opportunity to see this, feeling like, wow, we are now part of this journey. What the children of Kwale felt. So if it was concentrated in certain parts of the country, then I would say, is this discriminating? But because it's really spread across the country, then you feel like, even if it's not me this time, my turn will come. And the country is not leaving, and the holidays will keep on being there. So people will keep on hosting, and no county is repeating as host. So I think, even if you look at it from the more positive perspective, it is that this celebration bring a sense of patriotism to every part, even parts of this country that felt like, wow, are we ever part of this country because of their political inclinations and beliefs? Homa Bay, for example, did not vote with the president in the last election. You would imagine that we would be left, sort of behind. But I think this sort of brings the sense that it doesn't matter where you stand politically. At the end of the day, we are all Kenyans, and let us unite and move the country forward. Okay.
I want us to do the last question before we take a break, but this is regarding the accountability of the spending that's been put in. Are we going to see that from Homa Bay County to say at the end of all of this, this is what we did. This is how much money was put in. These are the development projects. This is what was done to develop Homa Bay to be ready for this. But some Kenyans will be asking, because this is not just Homa Bay County money, for whom the residents would also be seeking accountability, but it's also national resources. Will there be accounts at the end of it that say, this is the money we put in, this is what we're putting in for, and account for every coin?
I would imagine so, because nothing is done outside of the normal accounting mechanisms. Because if you want to do a road, it's not going to be money being given to you to go do the road. The ministry and its agencies have to do the roads, procure them in the normal way, and make sure they're done in the normal way. So there's no exception to accountability just because you have a national holiday. And then also for the other projects that are going on that we'll probably be discussing later, they are just part of the normal, usual accountability mechanism that we have. So at the end of the day, every cent really should be accounted for in terms of any work that has been done, and even county government resources that are spent in any way are accounted for in the normal fashion. We will still report to the county assembly, we will still report to the Senate, the auditor will still audit. So there shouldn't be any fears of any losses. If this were being run separately, like in a different mechanism, then you would have worries. But because they are run under normal ministry functions, I think there should be no problem.
Okay, all right. Stay with us, Madam Governor. We are taking a short break. When we come back, there is much more to talk about with what's happening here in the county. We want to understand 2.5 years in, where you are with what you have promised the people. So we'll get into that. We'll also talk a little bit about, national politics. There's a lot that's happening in the country at the moment, and so we'd like to hear that from you and much, much more. This is The Explainer. We are live from Homa Bay County, the host of the 62nd Madaraka Day celebrations that are coming up this Sunday, the 1st of June. We're here with the Governor, Gladys Wanga. We're taking a break. When we come back, we want to have that conversation with General Michael Langley. We're talking about peace, security, and stability in the region. After that, we're right back here in Homa Bay County to talk much, much more about what's happening here on the ground. Let's take a break. This is The Explainer. We'll be right back.
One-on-one with General Michael Langley, commander of the U.S. Africa Command.
We were in need of classes at a very fast rate. Partnering with SBS enabled us to have excellent classrooms. We had confidence in them and they delivered.
SAFBuild, a quality product from Safal Building Systems, a subsidiary of MRM.
One of the biggest challenges I find entrepreneurs is they don't know how to delegate. They feel they're the only ones who can do things. Other people can do it. You use your mind to build your vision and to do your strategic thinking and maybe to do the connections. But the team can do it. Imagine they can. There's been a study done that women tend to fear taking loans. A loan, if it is taken for the right thing, is okay.
Watch this story and more. Download the Citizen Digital app or visit www.citizendigital.com and find the Citizen Originals portal.
Kenya's #1 app, Citizen Digital.
Nivea Black and White Deal, now with 72-hour protection. But what does that mean? 3 cities in 3 days and no fear of sweat. 120 dances. With skin as smooth as the moves. Sweat, stain, and skin protection. Nivea Black and White Deal. Skin is for embracing life. Nivea is for skin.
Prepare yourself for Auto Expo Kenya 2025. Kenya's biggest international trade exhibition on automotive and spare parts industry. Connect with companies from over 30 countries, local suppliers, manufacturers, importers, and other industry professionals. At KICC, from 28th to 30th May, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
is where it all begins, where love thrives and every surface tells a story. With Ace Multipurpose Cleaner, enjoy the calming pine scent, the calm scent of Ace disinfectant with apple fragrance, the vibrant citrus scent of Ace Bathroom Cleaner, and the soft ocean fragrance. With Ace, you're one step closer to acing life on every surface. Ace, the scent of home and the power of clean. Ace products are available in all leading supermarkets countrywide.
We asked the children, how many of you brushed this morning? And this little boy, his hand didn't go up. And I said, well, why didn't you brush this morning? He said, my brother was using the toothbrush. If I'd waited for him, I would have been late for school. I'm sorry, I get a bit emotional when it comes to that. To be able to change a child's life, to be able to bring back that confidence about their smile, for me, is phenomenal.
Discover Zuri Springs by Adam Capital. Premium residential plots just 7 kilometers from Juja town, off Juja Gatundu Road, on an eighth of an acre for only 3.3 million Kenya shillings, starting with a 990,000 deposit. Enjoy flexible daily, weekly, or monthly payment plans for up to 10 years, stress-free. Plus, get a guaranteed 330,000 Kenya shillings cashback upon full payment. Call 0111 053 723. Zuri by Adam Capital. Own with ease.
Chinos from 5,600 shillings. Only core span yarn with stretch. Pre-washed, color fast, and shrink proof so they last longer. The only chinos to choose.
Welcome to Boma Mabati Factory, the 2024 award winner in roofing solutions. All our products come with warranty and are KEBS certified. Be part of our many satisfied customers by visiting us to enjoy great discounts. Boma Mabati Factory, Mabati Poa, near Boma.
Kisumu ushers in a bold new era of dignified, affordable living. Be part of history as His Excellency Dr. William Ruto leads the handover of Phase 1 of the Makasembo Housing Project on 31st May 2025 in Kisumu County. From just 1.95 million, own a 1, 2, or 3-bedroom apartment, fully complete and ready to move in. Enjoy modern amenities, including fast-moving lifts, adequate water supply, a kindergarten and daycare center. Discover affordable comfort reimagined. Only with Lap Fund.
Wasipoomba msamaha, tuache kusikiza nyimbo zao.
Unaamurisha kama nani?
The Avocado Society of Kenya cordially invites you to the 5th Avocado Fruits and Vegetable Africa 2025 exhibition and Congress. Happening from 27th to 29th May at the Sarit Center, Nairobi, this is your chance to showcase your products, connect with major value chain players, and discover exciting business opportunities locally and internationally. The experience wraps up with an exclusive farm tour on 30th May. Don't miss out. Visit our website or call to register and be part of shaping Africa's fresh produce future.
On the program today, we are so honored to be speaking with General Michael Langley. He's the commander of U.S. African. We'll be telling you what that is. I'm sure you know it. You're in this region. There's a lot of work that's done here. And we're here to speak about why he's here in the country and what big conference is happening in the country at the moment. General, thank you very much for making time for us on Citizen Television.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Let's begin by understanding why you're here. There is the Chiefs of Defense Forces conference. Tell us about that and what role AFRICOM is playing.
Well, for U.S. African, we yearly put on the Chief of Defense Conference. You know, when I first took command back in 2022, we had a conference in Rome. And I said, you know what? That's fine and good. You know, everyone wants to go to Rome, but I saw that this conference is for the African chiefs of defense. It should be on the continent. And we went to have our own last year in Botswana. And it really opened things up to address issues, military issues, security issues, shared objectives of how to achieve security and stability across the continent. So that was a purpose. And now we're here in Kenya. And as I had discussions with the Chad, General Kariri, he says, yes, I would love to host this conference. So it's an ownership by the chiefs of defense across Africa. And here we are.
Tell us about the relationship between, AFRICOM and, of course, the various militaries around Africa. And we'll come to Kenya in a moment. Mm-hmm. But speak to us about the cooperation and the support that's been provided. How would you categorize that?
Oh, wow. It's broad and wide as far as our engagement with the militaries across the continent, across the regions from North Africa to Southern Africa, East and West. We deepen our partnerships with various countries and their militaries to build towards what we see first as security comes first. For good governance and to institutionalize the militaries is the first step to be able to get stability and also prosperity for countries. That's where we engage with various countries across West Africa and East Africa and across the Maghreb as well, and then in Southern Africa. We've been building on these relationships for years, since 2007, 2008, engaging with various African countries that have shared objectives, shared values in our approach to the threats, but also to explore the opportunities.
Okay. What's the shared objective with Kenya? We know we recently got, major non-NATO ally status. How do you see that from a military and security perspective?
Well, the KDF, the Kenyan Defense Forces, have a reputation here in East Africa as a leader and security exporter. They are an anchor country, the KDF, in being able to, whether it was a few iterations ago of the Somalia mission, and then of late, ATMIS forces, and now awesome. Every one of those iterations, Kenya was there. I meet with President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed on numerous occasions, and he speaks very highly of the brothers and sisters in arms on his border in Kenya and their leadership, and how his Somali National Army depend on them to be able to be the leaders of institutionalizing and professionalizing the forces. Kenya does that so well.
Why do you think the threat of terror remains persistent, and what is the end game? What does that look like?
Well, part of it is Al-Shabaab, long-standing terrorist organization, sponsored by Al-Qaeda. They want to be able to use their operations, their information operations, become that shadow governance, illicit activities, nefarious activities, preying upon the people across Somalia, the marginalized clans, with false narratives, and saying that they're here and they can provide better than the government. So they've been doing that for a number of years. They've been doing a number of, within their own funding type, really pressing some of the clans for resources actually just capturing resources, taxes, illegal taxation on these members, and saying that they are going to be the provider, and when they're actually not. So the federal government of Somalia has been very active at trying to downplay that and doing assurance actions, getting out in the community. So through their liberation phases and stability operations, they bring their whole of government and providing services, education to connect with the outer regions across Haran, Galmudug, and other regions across Somalia.
I want us to focus now because, there's a lot happening in the region, and a lot of that affects the peace and security and stability of Kenya being central in the region. I'd like us to focus now for a moment on Sudan. The crisis there now in its second year. Two sides in this conflict, one indicted for crimes against humanity in Darfur, the other is facing legitimacy questions due to a coup. In this divide, General Langley, does AFRICOM have a side?
Well, that's a policy question. Right now, we want peace because point being known, these atrocities and this civil war since 15 April 2023, and the displaced population from the Darfur region into other countries. It's a travesty. The casualties there are equivalent to any other place on the globe. And that story needs to be told.
Do you see the Sudan conflict as posing a great security threat in the Horn of Africa? Or how would you assess, that situation?
It could emanate.
Yeah.
It can emanate, just the instability there, and could affect more migration, whether that migration goes east, west, or even north, of displaced populations, has reverberating effects across other communities that stokes conflict. We see that even down south when you look at the DRC and the M23 and displacing, as they marched upon Goma, displaced populations. It affects people's lives.
So you say you're not present on the ground, but is AFRICOM monitoring the flow of arms, external influence in this conflict, including the latest reported use of chemical weapons by the RSF?
Well, you know that the U.S. is considering sanctions. So, yes, that's at the higher levels. Those policies, those decisions are the White House. But at AFRICOM, we need to be able to do indications and warnings of that.
Are you concerned?
We are investigating the use of those chemicals. So that's where our U.S. government takes over. The number of communities across the leadership, the UN, they look into these things, and they do extensive measures to be able to investigate it.
But do you see a threat beyond the reference to terrorism? What do you think is the greatest threat in the region at the moment, beyond the common reference, for instance, to terror?
Well, I would just say just a number of layered threats that I see across the Sahel that emanates downward and could even rise up and back into the Maghreb. When conditions are met, it could exacerbate more instability across a population. That's why I always said that when we look for a solution set, and we're going to be able to table this issue again at this Chad conference.
We've heard of a move towards, perhaps from the whole government approach that you speak to what I've heard termed as burden sharing. Is there a change?
Yes, it is moving to burden sharing.
Explain to us what that means.
So we did whole of government approach, and then we know that change of administrations went and they said, okay, let's look at what we've been doing and let's select out what has been working, and let's get laser focus on being able to be straight with our partners that have been building capacity and shifting and sharing of a burden. So a number of our partners have that capacity with other allies that collectively can still build that model. Number of examples in West Africa that are in the process of rebuilding this. But the model is effective when you take into account of the whole community that's been affected by terrorism.
General, let's talk about countries taking on their own autonomy. You are on African soil, not for the first time, but this would be a good moment to ask about one of the countries that has taken its own autonomy, and that's Burkina Faso. Yeah. Your remarks recently at the Senate seem to suggest that he's diverting, General Traore, is diverting its 4 billion gold reserves to sustain his military rule rather than for public welfare. These remarks sparked widespread condemnation across the continent. What did you mean by that statement?
Let me speak to Burkina Faso's sovereignty. They maintain their sovereignty. They make their decisions, how they use their resources. They make their decisions who their resources go to for military support. That's their sovereign right. But my cautionary tale was just from a military perspective. That was a Senate Armed Services Committee asking me a direct question. Burkina Faso, a lot of great things going on to progress them forward, okay? But then when you look at the military part of it, knowing that that's the epicenter of global terrorism, it was my time to illuminate that this is probably their weakest point, and there needs to be sufficient resources going towards for the whole fight of terrorism in that country, period. They make their decisions, though. That's their sovereignty, their sovereign right to make their decisions, what is appropriate, what's not. But I wanted to illuminate that is going in the wrong direction now. ISIS is getting stronger. JNIM is getting stronger. Al-Qaeda in the lands of the Maghreb is getting stronger in that country.
And do you think it's getting stronger after General Traore took over?
It has. Just look at the numbers of attacks. It really has, since 2022. I've been tracking this since I took command. So, no ill will towards him, but the decisions is their own. They're looking for other ways to be able to, they're still on warfighting footing. It's just going to take more resources.
So you stand by that statement? Because there's been pressure on you to walk those statements back.
That's my statement. That's my assessment. That is getting worse. More needs to be done for not just local, but whole of country, because of these violent extremist organizations are seeking revenue, they're seeking resources, they're seeking recruiting from the Burkinabe people, and they're seeking refuge within their country. That threatens their sovereignty.
And that threatens America's interest?
Say again?
Does that then threaten America's interests?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Because especially ISIS, and of course in East Africa is inextricably linked all the way to ISIS West Africa, ISIS Sahel. And there's going to be probably a move afoot for them to move and seek refuge within the line. So we have shared objectives, and we offer to work together with the Burkinabe government and border countries Mali, Niger, coastal West Africa countries collective, because here's what these organizations do. Here's what these terrorist organizations do. They seek refuge in the seams or the borders of these countries and lets them thrive and grow and lets them recruit, gain resources to carry on their illicit and nefarious activities against the populations of those people.
And what would America, perhaps AFRICOM, be prepared to do? Would you be considering an ouster like we saw with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya? Because there's still many Africans who are yet to recover from that. If this is a bigger threat, as you say, in Burkina Faso, what is AFRICOM prepared to do about it?
We do indications and warnings. There's a number of activities that we do, and we'll just go ahead and mention building institutional capacity. There's not going to be U.S. boots on the ground. Very, very small for exchange of ideas and training, exercises. Over time, that builds institutional capacity and capability in these armies. There, AFRICOM, we are working towards a burden sharing and a burden shift for their independent operations. That's our goal. We have the shared objectives because these same terrorist groups can threaten our homeland. So we're in concert. I was just in African Lion over in Morocco. A number of countries working together to be able to
Is Burkina Faso invited here today for this conference?
Yes. Yes. They were invited to African Lion in Morocco. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, we're moving forward.
Okay.
We're moving forward because we have that shared goal of defeating terrorism.
All right. Speaking of that, because the reaction out of the statements that you made about Burkina Faso were several African leaders feeling you are speaking on sovereignty issues that America shouldn't be. And as a result, there are those who see the role of Africa as less of a partner in, the war against, shared threats, as you mentioned, and more of a protector of Western or American economic interests that allows access to Africa's vast mineral resources, and as more of a paternalistic relationship than one of respect amongst peers. What would you respond to that? I respond that there's others on the globe that do that. There's others on the globe that do that. I'm going to even bring it up. We should have even already know, okay? But I'm going to even bring that up. Okay. We respect the sovereignty. We respect their decisions. We respect their decisions of who they choose as a security partner. And then we measure the common denominator that's keeping these countries across the Sahel from progressing forward. In 2050, the largest workforce on the globe is going to come out of the continent of Africa. The youth need hope. They need peace and stability so they can hit their potentials. That's a long-range goal of AFRICOM as we look to help these countries set those conditions for stability and security so prosperity can be presented to all the populations and the youth. Pan-Africanism is real and it's strong, and there's an opportunity to come up on the global stage, and this continent can do it. That's what we really envision. So you're not concerned about China and Russia expanding their military and economic influence across the continent? We are concerned about it, yes. What about it concerns you? Well, their influence. Their influence may not be looked upon as being a positive influence. For who? For America or for Africa? Well, for Africans, okay? And then so Americans have that have that in mind, that for the African people and across all countries be able to hit their maximum potential and independence and sovereignty and also freedoms by rules-based international order, being able to get on the global stage and take a leadership role and provide for the people
and peace and stability. Some of those aims are not the same as the approach of those other countries on the global stage. So that's my perspective.
Do you have a counter strategy?
Do we have a counter strategy as far as to
China, Russia, their presence, because you say it doesn't align with the shared values?
Well, what we watch is the continent of Africa does not need to be militarized, let's put it that way. Does not need to be militarized. And so we watch, as far as security agreements and what does it mean? Is it really for the stability to fight the threats of a African country, or is it for them and their ability to establish a global hegemon of basis? That's what concerns us.
We'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much, right. General Michael Langley. Thank you very much for speaking with us on Citizen Television. We appreciate your time.
Oh, Lordy.
All right, welcome back to the Explainer.
All right, guys. Listen, I'm going to have a review of this tomorrow because I got to go. So tune in. I'll give my full review of this interview by General Langley. My first impression of it, I think he struggled answering the latter questions about Ibrahim Traore and the influence of Russia and China in Africa. He didn't seem prepared, or maybe he didn't expect those kind of questions. Yes, Gypsy, I agree with you. It's always about terrorism. Terrorism is this, terrorism is that. I mean, I almost fell off my feet when he said that the terrorists in Burkina Faso might pose a danger to America. I mean, Burkina Faso is way out there. But anyway, guys, I'll have a full review of General Langley's take on what's happening. Again, I maintain my position that this whole security conferences and all these generals meeting in Kenya is perhaps a meeting of how they are going to make sure that the Eastern Bloc of Africa stay loyal to the colonialists. Of course, this comes after the events in Western Africa because, like I said, the colonialists are losing the grip on Africa. There's all this coup d'etat that's popping up in the West. And so more than likely, they're trying to make sure that East Africa is fully behind the colonialist agenda, okay? And that means that the military in East Africa works closely with the United States and the Brits, and also the useful idiots like Martha Karua and Boniface Mwangi and Hanefa keeps on doing their work as the boots on the ground, the people who sway the civilians. But anyway, I'll have my review tomorrow. Full review tomorrow, if not tomorrow, the next day, whatever the case is. Other than that, like Mudavadi, Shimarian, I see. Yes, you're right, Bombi. They're scared that they're losing their influence. I mean, I thought Europe gave crap, but the guy looks worse than Ruto. He looks worse than Ruto. Why didn't she grill him like she did to Mudavadi? I didn't watch the Mudavadi interview, so I don't know what happened. But I mean, I think Okwara was trying to also be diplomatic about it because, this is a general and, he's a high-ranking guy, and actually he delivers the orders that come from the colonial masters. So you do not want to push him that much because you might lose your job. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, thank you so much. If you're going to watch this on repeat, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, and put your notification on. Thank you so much for watching this with me. Again, let me... What'd you say? He has met with the paid ambulance chasers, e.g. Karua Boniface. But like I said, I want us to pay attention to Tanzania. Tanzania is a very important country. And since they've been backing away from US and turning to the BRICS, you have the general say that they're very concerned and uncomfortable with this whole idea of Africa having associated itself with China and Russia. Sorry, my English is like the one as you msamehe boreko mwelewe chenye namaanisha. Na tunakuelewa. Your English is pretty good, Mariam. Don't worry about that as long as you can communicate. But anyway, guys, I got to leave it here because it's been 1 hour and 11 minutes. Yes, please put your notifications on, share, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, okay? I'll see you guys tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the next day, okay? Thank you so much. I'll give my review on the general, so put your notification on so you can also join me. And I'll put the link on so anybody who wants to come in can also come in and give their view on General Michael Langley, the commander of AFRICOM, U.S. AFRICOM in Africa. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings.